posture. Please come to the top of your mat and stand in mountain pose. And you can begin either in a relaxed expression of it or in an active posture. If you're relaxing, relax the 12 major joints. If you're activating, activate from the floor up and around the 12 major joints. Ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, elbows, and wrists. Then if you're in the relaxed version, apply the actions. If you're in the active version, relax. So you access both aspects of the practice, action and relaxation. And then take your hands out to the side, palms facing up, hands in line with the shoulders. Drop your shoulder blades down and take your arms all the way up, palms facing each other. And work the actions from the floor up. Activate your feet, thighs to lift the kneecaps up. The front of the spine will naturally lift because your arms are up. Widen the collarbones. And lift the thumb side of your wrist to straighten your elbows any amount. Drop your tailbone to a neutral position and lift the lowest back rib up in the back body to lengthen the back wall of the abdomen and the back of the spine. Release your hands in front of you, interlock your fingers with your elbows slightly bent, turn the palms out, take the shoulders back, drop the shoulder blades down your back, and keeping your shoulder blades down your back, straighten your arms and take your hands above your head. Relax as you take the hands above the head, relax the shoulder joint, and then begin to work, recharge the actions from the floor up again in your feet, thighs, sternum, widening the collarbones, external rotation of the upper arms. Drop the tailbone, lengthen the back of the torso. And release your hands, please. Relax. You can bend your knees, bend the elbows, and then straighten them again, just to loosen the joints. Stand in a relaxed version again, loosen the joints. And today we're going to do a few classical sun salutations. Bring your awareness to your breath and just observe your breath as you breathe naturally. Connecting with your breath and focusing the mind, withdrawing it, focusing it into the breath. And to regulate your breath, take a deeper inhalation and equal exhalation, making the breath steady and even, applying an action on the breath. On your next inhalation, please take your hands above your head. Inhale. Exhale, relax your hips and fold. Release your hands to the floor or your legs. Inhale, look at the wall in front to extend your spine. Exhale, right leg back, right knee down, hands on the floor. Inhale, hands above your head. Exhale and move to plank position. Inhale and plank. Exhale, knees down, chest down, hips lifted. Inhale, drop your pelvis and navel, lift your head and chest. Exhale, lift your hips back and up to downward dog. Inhale, step your right foot in between your hands, left knee down and hands above your head. Exhale, hands to the floor and sink your hips. Inhale, step your left leg forward, look at the wall in front. Exhale, relax your hips and fold. Inhale, hands above your head, come up. Exhale, release your hands in standing in mountain pose. Focusing on the action of the thighs and opening the back of the legs. Inhale, hands above your head, activate your thighs, lift the kneecaps up. Exhale, relax your thighs and fold from the hip joint. Inhale, look at the wall in front and gently activate your thighs. Exhale, right leg back, right knee down, hands on the floor, relax and open the front of the right thigh. Inhale, hands above your head and continue to open the front of the right. Exhale, move to plank position. Shoulders in line with your wrists in plank, and take your heels back slightly, activate your thighs. Exhale, knees down, chest down, hips lifted. Inhale, drop your pelvis and navel, lift your head and chest. Exhale, lift your hips back and up. Downward dog. Activate the thighs here as well. Inhale, step your right leg forward, left knee down, and hands above your head. Relax and open the front of the left thigh. Exhale, hands to the floor. Continue to open the front of the left thigh. Inhale, step your left leg forward. Look at the wall in front. Straighten the legs when you mount. Exhale, relax the thighs and fold from the hip joint. Inhale, hands above your head. Activate your thighs to steady the legs and then release everything. Relax. Focusing on the length of the spine and opening the hip joint. Inhale, hands above your head. Lengthen your side waist. Exhale, relax your hips and fold. Inhale, look at the wall in front. Lift the sit bones up. Exhale, right leg back, right knee down. Hands on the floor. Look at the wall in front to open the hips. Inhale, take the hands above your head and energize a little more with the left hand. Sorry, with the right hand. Exhale, move to plank position. Shoulders in line with the wrists. Activate your thighs and look forward. Take the navel into the spine. Exhale, knees down, chest down. Lift the buttock bones up high to bring the arch into the low back. Inhale, drop the pelvis and navel. Lift your head and chest to bring the arch into the upper back. Open the upper back. Exhale, look at your hands as you go to downward dog. Lift the hips back and up. And then exhale, release the head and straighten the legs in your mount. Inhale, step your right leg forward, left knee down, hands above your head, and energize with your left hand a little bit more. Exhale, hands to the floor and look at the wall in front to lengthen the sternum and open the hip joint. Inhale, step your left leg forward, look at the wall in front. Exhale, relax your hips and fold with a long spine. Inhale, hands above your head, lengthen the side of your waist with the action of your arms. And exhale, relax in mountain pose. Okay, and then you can come to a comfortable seated posture. Kerith, if you would like to share.
Hi, everybody. So there's a text that I want to share with you today that comes from Proverbs. I'm going to read you the English first. Wisdom sings out joyously. In the open, in the streets, she gives voice. In the marketplace, at the head of the clamor, she calls out. At the city gates, she speaks her peace. So I think this is just such a wonderful text for us as we are experiencing this opening here in Los Angeles due to the COVID cases being reduced, and we're all kind of re-entering to some extent or another. So I want to share a little bit of this Hebrew with you in particular because there's a word of opening in here that doesn't come across in the English translation that we have here. So where it says at the city gates, she speaks her peace. And in Hebrew, it's befitchei she'arim ba'ir. So it means at the opening of the gates of the city. And I think it's just so perfect for us right now to invite wisdom into this moment. And one of the wonderful things about Proverbs is that a lot of the language that's used here, just as in our prayer language, is aspirational language. So it's not as if, those things were happening when this was written. It was aspirational then, just as it is now. And we can say these words with an eye toward making these things happen for ourselves and for others. And I think sometimes, I know for myself, if I want to commit to doing something, if I just kind of think it in my head, that's a nice thought, and I may or may not actually follow through. But if I speak it out loud and I share my aspiration with someone else, it makes it more tangible and more likely for me to move toward making it real. So as I read these words from Proverbs, I thought, how wonderful, what a great aspiration for all of us as we enter new spaces, sometimes in ways that may challenge us. And we may find ourselves in situations where all of a sudden we realize, oh, I thought I was going to be comfortable here, but now I find that I'm not. And how do I bring wisdom into that moment? Or I'm with someone who clearly is not comfortable in this moment. And maybe it's because of this opening process. How do I bring wisdom into this moment? So I think one of the things that we do when we come to the yoga mat or when we enter into a synagogue, we kind of do a reset as we walk into those places or as we approach the mat, because we know we're entering a sanctified space. a space that is holy, a space where we make time to bring wisdom into our lives, into even the physical body. We're trying to bring wisdom into the poses that we do. So I think one of the things that's so beautiful about this particular piece from Proverbs for me is that it's not talking about, wisdom is heard in the halls of the synagogue. Wisdom is heard in the holy temple from the voices of the priests. No, that's not what's being said here at all. It's in those places where we need wisdom's voice most especially, where we're not necessarily always reminding ourselves, where we're not hitting that reset button to say, oh, I'm entering a special place, a special time, that it's upon us to bring wisdom to those everyday moments and those everyday interactions in the streets, in the marketplace, and at the openings of the city gates. So with that, I'll say Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, Kerith. Thanks for that beautiful teaching and sharing of the teaching. I think in yoga, of course, there is the refining of the mind, body, as well as the emotional layer of the being. And it involves refining the intellect. It involves also refining emotional intelligence. Also, it involves some practices such as, non-harming and those practices that we know that are foundational practices. And all of these help us to, also check what is going on in our minds and how we feel and act from a place of monitoring what's going on, even in the postures, and being effective in our responses, right? And just the process of doing that over and over again in the practice in yoga, but also in our following some of those principles and applying them to our interactions with those around us. It helps us to become a little wiser, because wisdom is beyond just the mind, right? Wisdom is more than that. Intellect may be more confined to the mind, but wisdom is kind of all encompassing, and it also takes into account those who have passed wisdom to us, from their experience. Our own experience informs our wisdom. So it's more than like a technical, it's an experiential result of an experiential, kind of thing. So, and there's also the element of intuition also that is part of wisdom, right? And in yoga, the practice is to help us to go from the more gross elements of the practice, physical, then breath, mental, and going into the subtle, where you can also pay attention to what the intuition is always there. It's the question of whether we pay attention or not, So we can develop that skill of paying attention to that. And also that informs how wise a person is, because there's all this subtle stuff that's going on. So I think the more we practice, the more we're aware of these aspects of the practice. The wisdom happens on its own. It comes on its own, as you experience and learn and live and all of that in the postures and beyond the postures, beyond the mat as well. So let's continue doing that in our practices. Okay. Okay. So please come to standing. Let's continue with some standing postures today. And stand at the center of your mat facing the camera. You can place your bricks at the back edge of your mat if you're using them. We're going to go into triangle. Step or jump your legs apart, hands apart. And point your right foot out. Inhale, extend with your left hand. Exhale, relax the hips. Sway the right hip back towards the left and release the right hand. So wherever release the left hand to your hip and come up a little bit so you can find some freedom in the hip joint and the right hamstring. You're able to stay comfortable in the right leg and right hip. Take the head and chest back slightly. Bring the hips forward so the right sit bone comes more in line with the right heel. And activate the left thigh, lift the kneecap up, and take the front of the thigh towards the back of the leg. And keeping the right sit bone back, lengthen the right sternum away from the right hip. Lengthen the right side of the torso. And then take the left shoulder back and take your left hand up. First, just look in the line of your chest with the head in line with the spine. Take the chin slightly towards the chest first, and then turn the chin to your left without changing the position. Turn the chin to the left. And part of wisdom is learning from every experience, right? So what is the insight that you have in every posture? Experience, what is the experience that you have and the insight from that? Inhale, come up please. Exhale, change the direction of your feet. And this time, use your own intelligence, your own experience from the other side, and do it on your own, please. And inhale, come up, please. Exhale, Step your legs together and release your hands. So in many cultures, like older people who've been around a while are appreciated and respected quite a lot. And that's because they have something of value, and that is wisdom, right? Because of their experiences and the learnings from it. So if you're fortunate enough to receive some of the wisdom from the previous generation and family members and whatever they've learned from it, from their lives, it'll save us a lot of trouble in our own lives. And we don't have to quite go through some of the hardships that they have to go through to learn that. And taking that, we add onto that our own experiences and come to our own learning and our own conclusions, becoming wise in our own ways. So same with the postures, like somebody's teaching you, and maybe I've been doing it longer, or experiencing it. So I share that with you, but that's why I'm teaching on one side. On the other side, I don't, because I want you to develop your own learning insight in the posture, keeping a reference of what I've shared with you, and then using that to find your own way and come up with your own learnings and your own insight. Okay? We're going to go into side angle posture, step or jump your legs apart, hands apart. Exhale, point the right foot out. Inhale, charge the left side of the body, holding the action on the left side. Exhale, relax the right knee, bending it. Take the right knee in line with the right heel. Take the knee out to the side a little bit to your right, and then reach with your right hand and release the right hand either to your leg, the brick, or the floor. Left hand can be on your hip. And this is a hip opening posture. So similar to triangle, lift the sternum up, lengthen the spine to open the hip joint, and take your head and chest back. Move the hips forward, the right knee will go to the right a bit, and then straighten the left leg like you did in triangle. Move the right sit bone towards the left sit bone. So the inner sit bone moves, right sit bone moves back towards the left sit bone. And lengthen the right sternum against that. Take the left shoulder back and take your left hand up. Widen the chest. And then turn the palm towards your head and take the hand above, overhead. Yeah, and just above the ear. And try to look for whatever comes to you in the posture. Any insight. Inhale, come up, please. Exhale and change the direction. Inhale, charge the right side of your body. Exhale, go into it on your own. Bend the left knee, left hand down, right hand on the hip first. Connect with the teacher that's within you to guide you. And come up, please. Exhale, step the legs together, release your hands. Samasthiti. You're going to go into half moon from here. So inhale, step your legs apart, hands apart. Exhale, point the right foot out. Inhale, extend from the right hand. Take the right hand to the brick, left hand to your hip, bend the right knee. Don't even go to triangle, just bend the right knee. Step the left foot in towards the right. Take the brick forward, about 2 feet and to the right a bit. And then lift the left leg up. Start with right knee bent. Lift the left leg up as much as you can. Take the head and chest back. Take the right knee to the right a bit. And lengthen from the left. Take the heel back. External rotation of the right leg as you straighten the right leg. But straighten it from the left leg, not from the right leg. Pull the left inner heel back, away from your hip. Lift it up, and the right leg will automatically straighten. Yeah. Lengthen the spine. Take the left hand up. Good. And release, please. Just come down and inhale, come up. Change the direction of your feet. And go into it on your own on this side. And come down, please. Okay, and step your legs together. Release your hands. Turn and face the top of your mat. We're going to go into a forward fold. Keep your feet hip distance apart. The heel slightly out. Go into standing forward fold and take your hands above your head. Lengthen the sides of the waist. Look up. Exhale. Fold from the hip joint and release your hands wherever is comfortable for you. On the floor or the legs or the bricks. And inhale, look forward, lengthen the spine to open the hip joint. Lift the sit bones up and exhale, fold, relax the hip joint and fold from the hips. Bring the abdomen towards the thighs, and then the chest, and then finally the head relaxes. Good. Inhale, come to the half position, please. Exhale, hands on your hips. And inhale, come up. Exhale, release your hands. And Kerith spoke earlier about this connection between reopening now and how we need to access this faculty of wisdom even in these times. And to broaden it a bit, it reopening, of course, it is a specific event, but it mainly has to do with navigating through change, right? And this is the thing is that change is a constant. It's always happening in all the layers of our existence, external world, people, body, mind, emotions, everywhere, right? One of the main things about the practice is that we don't try to stop the change in any way, because we can't. That's just how it is. It's nature. We can't stop it. It's going to keep happening. But what we do is to navigate the change in a better way, in a more effective way, where we are, the mind is steady, we are comfortable, we don't lose balance, mentally, emotionally, physically, all of that. So for that, we need to use the wisdom of the generations who have passed that to us, because they have also gone through change and learned how to navigate it. They pass that to us, and it's one of the great gifts that we receive actually in life from our ancestors. Often we think about, just the material or this and that as great gifts, but it's one of the greatest inheritances we can receive is that of the wisdom that our ancestors have passed on to the next generation, including to us. And to use that wisely, and to use our own to help to navigate change. Yeah. And in the physical practice of yoga, this aspect of navigating through change is integral. It's it's inherent in the practice. We go from one posture to the other, different direction, different action, different feeling, different, it's so we're using the practice to help with this managing and navigating through change in ways that keep our mind steady and comfortable. Having said that, we just did a forward bend, and now we're going to go into a back bend. So I think, Jennifer, you were here last time too when we did that with the chair, right? And when we laid down on the chair and legs, I think you had your legs on the bed or something, right? Yeah, so we're going to repeat that, and we're going to do a few versions of that. Was that okay for you, Jennifer? It was fine, right? Okay. Please bring your chair, and if you have like a sofa or something, stool, we may use that as well to put the legs up in line with the hips. If you don't, it's fine. Just That's fine. But the first two ones, we're not going to use the sofa, the props. So you can just take your legs through the back of the chair and sit down on the chair. Oh, sorry. Debbie, come out, please. Could you place your bolster for the head and neck, bolster vertically under. You see how Kerith is doing it, and maybe you need a brick too. Can you? Yeah, okay. That's fine. So take the bolster back a bit, Debbie, yeah, and put that's two back. Just the edge should be under the edge of the chair. Yeah, there. And the brick. Look at that. Look at Kerith's setup. Okay, now he left. That's funny. Okay.
I can't
Jennifer, okay, you're
good.
gonna take like that. That's fine, Debbie. Take the brick maybe slightly closer, and then you can move it back if you need to. Actually, everyone, take the brick slightly closer first, so if you need to. Okay, and I think Jennifer, you're okay there, right? Okay. First start. Do you have space though to go back? Yeah. I can't make out. Okay. First, we're going to. Okay. Thanks. We're going to keep the knees bent and feet on the floor. So move your hips forward a bit till the hips come to the edge, because we're going to lay the back on the chair, and then lie down on the seat of the chair. And you'll have to keep moving the hips forward a bit. So the hips are on the chair and the back is on the chair. The lower shoulder blades should be supported. Yeah. Yeah. So the lower shoulder blades supported, feet on the floor. And this is more for the upper back. So you can continue to hold the chair and just relax there, just getting used to this back bending action. Even if your head doesn't touch the brick, it's fine. And if it does, that's good too. And in back bending, the natural instinctual reaction to back bending is that of fear, to varying degrees. So we have to counter that. We have to counter that with knowing what the reality of the situation is. That you're supported, nothing's going to really happen to you. It's maybe just an emotion, instinctual feeling that will pass. And part of wisdom is also knowing, distinguishing between what is real and what is fleeting, what is not real, or what is permanent and what is impermanent, knowing the difference between the two. Now, emotions are generally impermanent. They're not permanent. And part of being wise is being aware of that. In this posture, if there's a bit of fear, just recognize it's just a feeling which will pass. In this particular instance, even if the feeling comes up, it's not of much consequence because there's nothing here that is a threat. So release, let the fear go, focus on the breath. Good. And now you're going to go a little further into it. So now you're sliding your hands down the side if you're holding the side of the chair, and move the hips back a bit, so away from the opening, away from the feet, and take the shoulder blades off the chair. So you will come slightly more on the mid back, just the part of the spine that's below the shoulder blades. And as you do that, it depends what your reaction is. Your mind may be totally relaxed, no problem. Or the mind may react. Just focus on the breath. Just relax the mind, focus on the breath. Debbie, move the brick. Move the brick. No, take it off. Take it off. Yeah. Distinguishing between the permanent and the impermanent, real and the unreal. And inhale, slowly make your way up, please. Pull the chair, head comes up last, lift the chest up first. And release. And back bends are heart openers. So, I mean, it's of course it's a play on words, but usually when you open up, there is some amount of fear that comes with that, you know. It's just how it is. Even when we open our hearts out to people, even those who are close to you, being vulnerable, for example, it's kind of a scary place for people to be, you know. Not so easy. So in terms of like what's going on right now externally as well, yeah, there is, you know, even just this opening up again, there is some amount of fear that's connected with that as well. And it's natural. The mind often reacts like that. So it's natural when there is an opening, like even in back bend, that there is some element of fear that accompanies that. Our practice is to try to stay steady in the mind and take as much as you can. That's it. Okay. Do what is comfortable. Okay. We're going into the back bend again here. And this time we're going to straighten the legs. And if you have a prop, you can put the legs on the prop. If you don't, you can also just straighten on the floor. That's fine too. So, Debbie, you still need the bolster behind you. Yeah. And as you had it, it's the same posture we're doing. Yeah. And okay. And start with your knees bent. Lie back as you just did just now. And the head can have the knees on the floor first, and then lie back first. Lie back down, and release the head to. And Jennifer, the back bending is okay, right, for you? Okay, good. Lie back down, release the head, do all that first. And then straighten one by one the legs and place them on the prop. Or if you first go down, Debbie, release the head back if you're doing it. And then if you're straightening, straighten and keep the legs on the prop, or just straighten on the floor. Put the heels on the floor, Debbie. Yeah. The practice here is to let go of any thoughts that take the mind off balance or agitate the mind. Let it go. Just focus on the breath. Stay there, observing the breath. And try to relax the mind. Steady the mind and relax it. Good, and inhale. Make your way up, please. Actually, bend the knees first, sorry. Bend the knees, place the feet on the floor, and then come up. And once you're up, just place your palms and hands on your face, closing your eyes. Just relax there for a few moments. And release, please. Okay, you can come off the chair and move the props to the side. And let's go into bound angle pose, Baddha Konasana, sitting on the floor. Join the soles of your feet, your knees go out to the side. And holding your feet, pull the heels in towards the hips. Let's see, Debbie, for you, it's better to sit on a bolster. Yeah. And use your hands to help you with the action of the feet. Press the center of your heels and using your fingers, bring the outer edge of the feet towards each other, the pinky toes and the outer edge towards each other. Use your thumbs at the big toe mounds to spread the big toe mounds apart and take the big toes away from each other. And keeping that action, take the knees towards the floor, lift your sternum up, take the shoulders back, drop your shoulder blades down your back to open the hip joints. Place your hands next to your hips on the floor or your props and first lift the sternum up and then use the action of your hands to help you lengthen the spine even more. And work the feet, the center of the heels and the outer edges of the feet, pressing against each other and the big toes and big toe mounds moving away from each other to open the groins and take the knees down towards the floor. And if you're more open, bring your hands to Namaste, lift your sternum up, and interlock your fingers, straighten your arms, take your hands above your head, lengthen there, take the torso back slightly, come to the sit bones, center of the sit bones, and lengthen the side waist. Keep the action in your feet. And then release the interlock, point your fingers up, look up, and exhale, fold from the hip joint and place your hands on the floor in front. And part of, again, being wise is to read the situation accurately, perceive correctly. In the posture, to know what the limitations are, to know what is beneficial and what is not, what is creating problems, what's not, and working in the stage that is beneficial for you. Between being in the half position and going all the way down, there are many degrees in between. So choose to work wherever you can still good. Inhale, come up, please. Exhale, release your hands and bring your knees together and sit down in with your legs straight forward. And using your hands at your inner knees, use your hands to take one straight leg apart and then the other one apart, taking the legs apart. And use your hands to internally rotate your thighs and the shin bones and pointing the knees straight up and the toes straight up towards the ceiling. The previous posture was more about opening the groins and the hip joints. This one is a different posture, and this is more about opening the back of the legs and the back of the hips. So, two quite different postures, and your physical condition will determine whether you're comfortable in this posture or not, and as compared to the other one, because different parts of the body are being opened here. So be sensitive to the sensation, what's going on, and work in a way that you can take care of yourself, okay? So try to, again, it's about really understanding, being aware of what's going on. And in every different posture, there's a different experience, there's a different opening. So being aware of the change in every different posture and working with that change to stay comfortable and in the practice. Bring your hands to Namaste, please. Lift your sternum up. Interlock your fingers, straighten your arms. Take your hands above your head. And release the interlock. Look up, point your fingers up. And exhale, fold from the hip joint and place your hands on the floor. Or you can hold, that's fine too. And in the half position, lengthen your sternum, look forward, lengthen the sternum to open the hip joint, look at the wall in front. And this action will revolve the pelvis and pull and stretch the hamstrings and the calf muscles in the back of the legs. So the action is similar, but it's different in this posture. So keep up with the change and work effectively through this posture, which is different from the previous one. Even though you're still folding forward, it's still different though. And the experience is different. Maybe the insight is different too. From Baddha Konasana. Good, inhale. Come to the half position. Exhale, interlock your fingers, straighten your arms and take your hands above your head. Lengthen the spine. Exhale and release. Bring your legs together. If you're on a bolster, I think that you can come up the bolster. And sit down on your mat with your legs on the mat, please. So you'll turn and sit. We're going to continue with forward fold. Now, since we did the last back bend, we've been folding forward in all the postures, but the angle of the legs are changing here. So it's a different posture every time. So the experience is a different experience. And try to stay aware and sensitive in your practice. And bend your right knee. Take the knee to the side in Janusirasana. Release the knee to the floor. Right foot against the left inner thigh. And hands next to on either side of your left leg. Lift the sternum up. Take the navel to the left and flex the left foot to activate and straighten the left leg. Bring your hands to Namaste, lift your sternum, interlock your fingers, straighten your arms, and take your hands above your head. Look at your big toes, turn the navel to your left again. Release the interlock, look up, point your fingers up. Exhale, fold from the hip joint and hold where it was comfortable for you. Inhale, extend the spine, look at your big toe and lengthen the spine. Hold, Jennifer, hold your foot. You can also interlock, yeah. So you have something to hold against and pull and lengthen the sternum forward. Look at your left big toe to open the hips. And then exhale, take the elbows out, fold from the hip joint. Think about bringing the abdomen first, then the chest down, and then the head down. And lengthen forward and fold from the hip joint. And inhale, come up, please. interlock your fingers, take your hands above your head. On the way out, to lengthen the spine and then release. Set up for the other side and go into it on your own on the other side. And come up, please. In yoga, sometimes negative energy is not really, it's not ignored or shunned actually, because the negative can actually motivate one to become a little wiser. For example, fear is a motivating force to become, to go towards a more peaceful state and not be in fear. So while the process of moving out of fear and coming into a place of more feeling relaxed and peaceful can help one become more wise. Just like that, even loss, if you lose something, right? It's if something affects your well-being, it can motivate you to, in a negative way. If it affects your well-being in a negative way, it can motivate you to use your intellect and your understanding, your awareness, and move towards a more positive state. So that process actually helps one to become wiser when you're moving from a negative to a more positive state. The process of doing that, the experience of doing that, helps one to become wiser in that sense. So we don't shun the negative, but we welcome it as a motivating force to help us move towards a more positive, peaceful state. So the reason I bring that up is because one has to have the intention to go towards a positive state. So the intention has to be there. If there's no intention, then there's no reason for that process to happen, right? If you don't desire peace, then the process of moving towards peace may not happen. And the process of moving towards peace from conflict can make you wiser in the way you operate. I hope that makes sense, but anyway. Okay, and take your legs straight forward, please. So in asana, so in the physical practice, for example, the process of moving away from pain and towards a more comfortable place can also make you wiser from a negative to a more positive state. And bring your hands next to your hips, lift your sternum up, going into forward fold, interlock your fingers, straighten your arms, and take your hands above your head. Release the interlock, look up, and exhale, fold. If you can hold your big toes, hold your big toes, please. And inhale in the half position, lengthen your spine, look at the wall in front. And exhale, take the elbows out, fold from the hip joint, and fold, bring the torso down. And to fold forward, the hip joint has to open, the back of the legs has to open. For you to do that, you have to inhale, lengthen the sternum forward to open the hip joint, and then exhale, take the elbows out to the side, bend the elbows, and fold from the hips, not from the sternum. The sternum should keep lengthening forward. Relax the hips, relax the back of the legs to fold. Pull the spine forward. Yes, like that. Inhale, come to the half position, please. Exhale, if you can, hold the outer edges of your feet. Hold the outer edges of the feet. And inhale in the half position. Look at the wall in front. Lengthen the sternum towards the chin. And straight arms, straight spine, straight back of the legs. So take the chest back a little bit and lift the sternum up. And then to fold, inhale, pull the sternum forward. Pull with your hands. Lengthen the spine forward. Exhale. Elbows bend, relax the hips, and try to bring the towards the legs, not the chest or the head towards the legs. So you're pulling the sternum forward, relaxing the hips, and bring the abdomen towards the legs. And then the chest to the knees. And then the chin finally to the shin bone. It may not be there now, but work towards that. And come to the half position again. This time, take your hands over your toes and place your palms on the soles of your feet with the fingers pointing towards the heels. Palms on the soles of the feet. So Debbie, take the hands, yeah, like that, correct. And lengthen again, lengthen the sternum forward, look at the wall in front. To open the hip joint, activate the thighs to open the back of the legs, and exhale, elbows go out to the side, long spine, fold from the hip joint. Don't release the head and chest immediately. Lengthen the sternum forward, relax the hips and bring the abdomen towards the thighs. Sternum forward. It doesn't matter whether your head touches something, it's okay. If your hips are not open yet, or the legs are not open, there's some work that needs to be done in the half position to open the legs and the hip joints. We want the benefit of the posture rather than the glory of the posture, always. Inhale, come to the half position, please. Exhale, interlock your fingers and straighten your arms. Take your hands above your head. Release. And release your hands. Lie back on the floor. We're going into Supta Baddha Konasana. So if you have your prop, then put the bolster behind you, blanket for the head. If you don't have the prop, that's fine. Just lie down on the floor and join the soles of your feet. Knees go out to the side. Debbie, you need to go back, hips closer to the bolster, please. Even more. Yes. Now go back. Yes. And turn your palms up. This is a relaxed, passive posture. And it's an opportunity for you to go inward a little bit more. And one way to work that muscle, if you you could say it like that, of being wiser, is to reflect on your experiences. Here in this practice today, you can reflect on your practice itself, replay in your mind whatever comes to your mind from the practice. And try to gain some insight as a matter of seeking. It's not just whether it comes to you or not. Look for it. Is there, as you reflect, as you replay, what comes up? And is there any insight that accompanies the thought? Is there any learning from the experience on how the body works, your mind works, your emotions work? This process of reflection. And any accompanying intuitive sense as well. Of how to move forward with your practice. As a continuation of the reflection of what happened in your experience, you gain some insight that you can take with you for the future. It could be in one particular posture, it could be in the practice in general. And then if something comes up, you can make note of it and try to take it with you. Bring your knees together, please, and straighten the legs in front. Slide on in Shavasana. And remember any learning that you may have gained from your experience today. Kerith, whenever you're ready, make your way out. And
So Havdalah allows us for a moment of separation. And so we're getting ready to say, it's a little early because of the time of year. We're getting ready to say goodbye to Shabbat. And this Havdalah, I just want to mark this separation as the end of the quarantine Torah yoga, and looking forward to a new iteration of it coming back in the fall. And especially to thank Hannah, who's been running things in the background, and so much gratitude to our teacher, Amit. I'm gonna be wise, and my guitar's been sitting in the sun, and found itself a new tuning while we were doing yoga. Just gonna take a moment here. Should be a little better. המבדיל בין קודש לכל, חטאותינו ימחול, זרענו בכספנו ירבה כחול, והכוכבים בלילה. שבוע טוב, 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 שבוע טוב. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. Shavua Tov, everybody.
Shavua Tov. Thank you. That was
Thank you.
beautiful. Thank you, Kerith. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Hannah.
Thanks.
And thank you, Jennifer. Is it Jennifer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Good to see you.
That was really nice. So,
We'll see you again.
and hi, Scott.
Hopefully.
I see your hand.
So, hi, Scott.
Thanks so much for
Okay.
all the time and energy and effort you've been putting in for this whole year and all of that. And thank you so much. Appreciate it so much. Thank you all.
Of course. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
thank
Debbie.
you.
And thanks, Jennifer.
Bye.
All right.
Thanks.
Shabbat
Bye-bye.
shalom. Bye.
Bye. Bye.